Hey everybody, Pete Turner coming at you here, asking you to check out my technology podcast called Popping the Bubble. There's no E on the end of bubble, B-U-B-B-L. Sandra Ponce de Leon and I, we get in and we demystify what's going on in the Silicon Valley. You want to know where we're headed? Come check us out.
Welcome to Lakers Reign, the podcast of the Los Angeles Lakers.
I feel like I'm on the ball today. I even felt accepted from the law today. It's like this revelation dawned on me. It's so amazing, help support the cause. I get everyone involved.
Get access behind the purple curtain for an exclusive look into the championship pedigree of Los Angeles, the lifestyle, the music, the vibe. Here's your host, Nick Hamilton.
Single shot of whiskey, can make it double. All my people with me always making trouble.
Welcome back to another edition of Lakers Reign podcast. I'm your host, Nick Hamilton, live from LA, always on the road, always in the know, making it rain on the rest of the NBA, as Laker fans do, with the purple and gold. A lot has gone on in the last few days concerning the Los Angeles Lakers, who are right now sitting at 5-5, headed on a brutal East Coast road trip, facing the Celtics, the Wizards. And so when you look at what the Lakers have to go through, it's going to be a very, very brutal road trip. They have a red-hot Celtics team led by Kyrie Irving. Doesn't seem like they're going to be leaving planet Earth anytime soon, right? That's going to be a tough test. It's already intensified because it is the Lakers versus the Celtics, that's a rivalry that will never die. Just like the Yankees and the Red Sox, Dodgers and the Giants. It's one of those old school 100-plus year rivalries that will never go out of style. So, when you look at all of that, it's going to be an interesting matchup. Now, Lonzo Ball, who has not done well the last few games, I would say maybe struggling is probably the most apropos word in all of this. Of course, his dad, LeVar Ball, had to come out and really say, you know what? My son needs more minutes. My son needs to be playing in the fourth quarter. My son needs to make sure he gets out there and scores more. He needs to be out there and being aggressive more. You know what? LeVar Ball needs to have a tall glass of shut the hell up and sit back and let Luke Walton and the rest of the staff coach his son. Guess what? You're not in Chino anymore there, LeVar. You're with the big boys now. Let the big boys do what they need to do. A lot of people seem surprised behind LeVar Ball's comments, but I wasn't, and you shouldn't be either. Because did we not know this was going to happen at some point? We're talking about LeVar Ball here. He's going to say something that's going to resonate or try to resonate with people, especially in the media. And as long as the media keeps feeding him, he's going to open up his big fat mouth and continue to talk. That's what he does. He's a talking head. But here's where he has become a habitual line stepper. You don't go out and criticize the coaching staff because guess what? You never made the NBA. You never made the collegiate ranks as a star. Your son is the potential star here in the equation. I've always been under the impression that let the star be the star. You fall back, enjoy the ride. Hopefully your son does well because we're all pulling for him to do well because a lot of us want to see Lonzo Ball be successful. The more successful he is, the better the Lakers could be, along with everyone else that's on that floor. But Ball is averaging over 30 minutes a game. Not producing between quarters 1 and 3. Why in the world would I have him out there in the fourth quarter where it truly counts and it could be the difference between a win or a loss? A loss of a possession or a gain of a possession that can turn the entire momentum of the game around. So if you're not producing in quarters 1 through 3, why would I think to put you out there if I'm Luke Walton in quarter 4? When I have a kid like Kyle Kuzma who's actually out, who's actually the better player on the team right now, who was drafted lower than you, by the way. This is the same kid that's been out here in these streets balling. He's done very well thus far, along with guys like Brook Lopez, who's come on. You have guys like Brandon Ingram, who's starting to kind of rise out of his abyss of mediocrity, really taking charge of his career and taking charge of himself on the floor. So there's a lot of factors that are key into this and into guys doing well and flowing in the offense that Luke Walton has set up for them. But you got to understand, Luke Walton is not just coaching Lonzo Ball. He's coaching 11 to 12 other guys in that rotation that are on the team. Again, Lonzo's got to be more aggressive. That's one thing I can say, because I can honestly say I have not really seen the desire and the passion in his eyes like I should have in a guy who's been the number 2 pick, who's supposed to be the savior, quote unquote, of the franchise. I don't see that. When I watch Ben Simmons of the Sixers, I see that kind of play. When I watch De'Aaron Fox, I see De'Aaron Fox's play. And there's a host of other guys that I watch, from Steph Curry to Kevin Durant to Chris Paul to John Wall, Boogie Cousins. I see the flair in their eyes. They have that, as we like to call that, Mamba instinct, that Mamba mentality. So I see that. I don't necessarily see that in Lonzo, and that's what kind of concerns me. I mean, I want to give the kid an opportunity. I've been trying to bash away the negative sayers and the naysayers and the people that like to cape up against Lonzo Ball, but it's becoming extremely hard as of late, because it's like, look, man, you know, this kid is still getting acclimated to the NBA, as I said on the last podcast. But he's got to step it up at some point, because we cannot get to the All-Star break and still talking about the lack of aggressiveness, the lack of desire that comes about, the lack of initiative that's being taken on the floor. We can't be talking about those same things come February of 2018. That's not going to fly. So he's got to step it up. I don't know what he needs to do. Maybe he's still getting acclimated to the NBA as far as the understanding the game and the pace of the game, because obviously he's much faster than what he experienced at UCLA. But Lonzo is a special talent. I've always said that. Question is, does he want it? Who wants it more? His dad or him? Because I've told people this even in my profession. And I've helped a lot, quite a many people out. But I'm not going to want something for you more than you want it for yourself, and it's for you. That's called hustling backwards. I ain't doing it. So Lonzo's got to step it up, point blank. And if he doesn't, then we're going to see the results of that. But again, we cannot truly assess Lonzo Ball until the end of the regular season. Once we assess Lonzo Ball and see what he has shown consistent flashes of and shown consistent effort, then we can make a distinction. Okay, this kid has it, or you know what, maybe we misjudged this kid. I don't know. But something's got to give. And the Lakers are currently sitting at 500, which is very good for them. They've lost out on some very close games, and I think those are just signs of a young team that still doesn't know how to close out games. But you give that same young team experience next year, they'll figure it out. They'll figure it out. Trust and believe. But as they say in Sixerland, gotta trust the process, which is very apropos to what we're going through here in Los Angeles. Watching this young team, this young Laker team develop, gotta have that Mamba mentality. Speaking of Mamba mentality, Kobe Bryant made an appearance at the Los Angeles Chargers facility on Wednesday. And apparently he wanted to come up there and just look around the facility, talk to some of the players, and kind of just hang out a little bit. Obviously, the Chargers practice in Orange County. Kobe lives in Orange County, so it's practically down the street. And whatever the Chargers need to get momentum, Kobe was probably the right guy for them. They were ecstatic, if you recall, when Kobe came in there during training camp and mini camp, when they're having team meetings in the offseason. They were ecstatic. I mean, Phillip Rivers looked like a kid at Disneyland for the first time. They were listening and hanging on to the Black Mamba's every word. And hopefully it can work this time. But it's always interesting when I see Kobe going to the Chargers facility, or any football facility for that matter. So I thought I'd throw that little tidbit of information at you guys, because I thought that was fun. Well, on the flip side of it, like I said, with the Lakers, you have a lot of things happen. I mean, you're gonna run into John Wall again. My concern is I want to see how well Lonzo Ball does against Kyrie Irving. Kyrie takes no prisoners. He kicks behind and takes names later. And Kyrie right now is on a mission. He's on a mission for himself. He is on a mission to prove everybody else wrong that he doesn't need LeBron. Kyrie, to a lot of people, are Robin to LeBron's Batman. But if you recall, even Robin got tired of being the sidekick and said, you know what, I'm out of here. I'm going to become Nightwing. So now Kyrie is Nightwing. So let's see how well Kyrie goes up against these Los Angeles Lakers, who are no slouch, by the way. I don't care what their record indicates. They're a better team than what their record indicates right now. But the Celtics are red hot, no pun intended. So it should be a good East Coast trip. They get a chance to come back and really test their skills and see how good they really are. It's a measuring, I like to call a measuring stick road trip. Let's see how good we really are away from home. Because on Thursday, they have the Wizards, which is off a back-to-back, which is never easy. And then they travel on Saturday to Milwaukee. Next Monday, they head out to the Phoenix Suns, Devin Booker. Then they finally return home on Wednesday against the Philadelphia 76ers. And, yeah, that guy who's probably going to be Rookie of the Year, Ben Simmons. Yeah, that guy. So the Lakers have a tough road ahead because Milwaukee's not going to be an easy trip either. Milwaukee is an up-and-coming sleeper Eastern Conference team. And it's really going to be interesting. So it should be a really, really fun series of games. The brightest note of it all is the fact that the Lakers can actually dominate in the middle. Now, Jason Tatum is no slouch. But away from the ball near the paint, the key is Brook Lopez shooting those buckets. And he's a guy that can shoot a nice 15-footer. He doesn't have to cherry pick all doggone day, a la DeAndre Jordan. So the fact that Al Horford may be missing a game against the Lakers with a concussion, that can free up Brook Lopez and free up a couple other big guys to be able to shoot the basketball well and have select shots where they can make them and knock them down. So we'll see what happens, man. It's going to be fun. We'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to the matchup against the Celtics because I want to see Jaylen Brown against Brandon Ingram. That should be a fun matchup to watch. Two hard-playing guys, two young guys. You know, I want to see what they have to offer. And the fact that Gordon Hayward is out gives Brown a lot more playing time for the Celtics. Both of these guys are absolute studs, and they're on the rise. So we'll see what happens. Both second-year guys, both important to their lineups. So we'll see what happens, man. It's going to be fun. But don't worry. The Lakers will get it together. They'll find a way. And, hey, even if they come out 2-2 on this road trip, that's 500. That's a good start. This should be fine. No worries. We got 500. Hey, man, we might be rolling with 500 this year. We might be on the brink of near 500 this year. I picked them at 35 games. Relatively close to being 500. So we'll see if my prediction is right. I know some of you Laker myopics out there like to say, oh, they're going to go to the playoffs. They're going to win 50 games. Man, I don't know what you've been snorting out there, but you need to go get drug tested immediately. Because I sure as hell don't see that happen. And like I said, I believe in Lakers. I believe in this franchise. I believe in this organization. But I'm also a realist. And I also understand that they're in a very, very tough conference called the Western Conference. If they were in the Eastern Conference, that may be obtainable. It's a little bit easier. A little bit shorter pathway to the ocean, so to speak. Nah. Not going to happen. No. Now, next year, again, as I said this before, when they acquire a couple of veteran players, sure, they'll make a playoff run. Absolutely. As long as everybody stays healthy, they can definitely make a nice playoff run. That's when we'll see the Lakers back to being the Lakers that we've all come to know and love. This city will be on fire again. Even if they make it to just the second round, the city will still be on fire because you've got a lot of hope, a lot of optimism on the floor. fans can rally behind, get behind, to see what this team is really about. Because now they have some real deal talent. But also, too, it puts more pressure on Luke Walton because now you got to come through. You got to come through in the clutch, baby. You can't just sit around and say, oh, I'm going to bench the guys in the third quarter. No. And you losing games? No, it ain't going to fly too much. No, sir. Not at all. So the Lakers had a chance to destroy the Brooklyn Nets last week and pretty much spoil D'Angelo Russell's return to L.A. because it became the Brook Lopez show. But before that, we had opportunity to sit down with the radio broadcaster, Tim Capstraw, who is the play-by-play color announcer for the Brooklyn Nets. And he shared some very interesting insight on the Brooklyn Nets, D'Angelo Russell's return, and so much more about these Los Angeles Lakers. Take a listen.
Hey everybody, it's P.J. Turner, executive producer of Lakers Reign. I'm filling in for Nick Hamilton tonight because he's covering this Lakers game that's going on up in Portland. So I have the distinct honor and pleasure of talking to half of the Nets radio team, Tim Capstraw. Of course, your partner, Chris Carino, is not available because he's covering something else too. So both of us.
Yeah, no, he's an NFL football broadcaster also. So he's got a game this weekend, and rather than go do the game tomorrow night, then hustle back to Philadelphia, then back to Portland, he had to give this one up.
I wanted to throw a question for you to think about while I get everything set up with your bio. But basically, you've been doing this for nearly 1,000 games just with the Nets, not including all the other stuff.
Yeah, I think more than that, yeah.
Right. So what I want to ask you about is how did you determine your style? Where was your voice? Like Vince Scully had his thing forever. We had Chick Hearn in this town.
Yeah.
But you develop a voice. So who have you borrowed from? Who have you said, that's not me? How did you get that? Think about that. And I'm going to do your bio real quick here. You're married to Chelsea, who obviously is a great woman because you do not stop moving. You are the youngest NCAA men's basketball Division I coach ever. Baseball and basketball, actually. And you coach them both at the same time. Yeah. So you like to keep busy. You've been a coach of the year. You're obviously a good guy because you've won the Good Guy Award officially. You've done NBA Europe games. You've done Northeastern Conference games. You've done FIBA championships, the Olympics.
Yeah.
And now this is your 11th season with the Brooklyn Nets. That is a lot. And I appreciate you. Let me slow down to look you in the eye and say thank you. I really do appreciate this. It means a lot, especially for me being a combat vet doing these kind of things. This is incredible to be here at our favorite home away from home, the JW Marriott here at Staples Center. So how do you do what you do? How did you find your voice?
Well, I had to find my voice because I like a lot of coaches, at some point, if you're not doing well enough, they get rid of you, Pete. They get rid of you. And all along the way, we used to have to do these luncheons every week in New York, stand up and talk about your team. And at some point in time, I think my team was I had some good teams, but my team was struggling. And then I kind of went a little bit humorous, tell a couple jokes or went a little something. So that kind of became a little bit of a routine for me. So it became like I was this, I don't know. I feel as much pressure going to these things as far as entertaining as I would anything. But it would be all the coaches from the Big East, different places. And that's kind of where I found my voice. That maybe if things didn't work out, that somehow somebody's going to ask me, maybe I could get into broadcasting and really work my way into it and then up the chain if I could. The difference between me and a lot of guys is I wasn't a big-name guy. I wasn't a guy that was from a big school that people really knew about. I coached at a lower Division I school. People knew you, but they didn't really know you. They weren't going to just hand you a job. So I had to really I had to grind it out and volunteer and hustle to do any game that anybody would ask me to. And not unlike everybody else, like yourself. Everybody hustles. No, you're getting out there and you're working. And eventually got a little bit more games in college, got a little bit more here, a little bit more there. Then it's something I got very lucky with the Nets. And that was a situation with no NBA experience of being a coach or a player, you're in this environment. Now, you think about all the different guys that do TV or radio, they're NBA people for the most part. Not everybody, but a lot of guys, 90% of them are. So you really have to kind of make sure you're good. Make sure you're, you know what I mean? I mean, you can't And you're not going to be great right away because you don't have credibility. But then after a while, people kind of, if you're ready and you're prepared and you know what you're talking about, much like I sat down to you right now and you know everything about me. So right there, you kind of like gain credibility with me. You have to get that with the audience by being able to do a really good job. And then after a while, they don't think of you as he's a low Division I coach.
Right.
In fact, they got rid of him.
Yeah.
I mean, so how good? No, they think, oh no, he's an NBA guy. He's with the Nets, and he does NBA TV, and he does, and then you kind of get some credibility. As far as wanting to be like different people or modeling people, I remember going on an interview. And I told the guy, Chris Carino, I said, well, Chris, I work with the play-by-play, he was kind of, I said, Chris, well, people keep thinking I'm kind of funny. I kind of entertain. He goes, whoa, not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for, he goes, John Andres. John Andres was an analyst with the Knicks for years. He goes, that's who I want you to be like. So I happen to know somebody at NBA TV who had recordings of him. So I went to over in Sea Caucus. I studied the tapes. I listened to him. He became kind of a person I would listen to. And then you develop your own style. Right. But it's a rhythm you have to get used to. You have to understand it. And then all of a sudden, I remember having an epiphany one game, just saying, I think I got it. I got the rhythm of this. I got the feel of it. And I got my own voice because I'm not thinking about it. And you just kind of become comfortable. The one thing you get in the NBA is a lot of reps. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you're not working. You're doing 5 NCAA seasons in one season.
Right.
So you can get, like, if you're willing to work at it, you should get better. And that's kind of how it kind of happened. But I still am one of these guys that pinches myself every time I walk into one of these hotels.
Yeah.
This is fantasy world to me. I had red roof points. You know what I mean? When I work, I sit,
yes.
Motel 8. You know what I
Yes.
mean? I slept in my car when I'd recruit if the budget. So this kind of thing is still amazes me. Coming in on that the country is this small that you can come in on a charter flight, get here, and then you're kind of here, and then you're going to go somewhere else. Right? It's amazing to me.
Incredible. Yeah. Again, as a combat guy, I've slept in a box.
Right.
I've slept in a bag. I've slept in something that used to be someone's office.
Right.
And to be here at the JW Marriott talking to you, it just blows me away. And I was like, no, I really am sitting here. I haven't really lost it, but they kind of make fun of me with that. But I think I'm good with perspective with other people too. To say, guys, listen, we're all lucky. If you're in this world, right,
and you're surviving and going to basketball games, I'm peeking up watching the Lakers right now, and that's my homework.
Yeah, right.
Man, that's a pretty good world. So I'm very lucky and feel very, very fortunate.
Let's ask some of these questions because one of the things I wanted to bring to the show was to show the Laker world from an outside perspective, and we've got D'Angelo Russell. And the way I see it, and I want you to correct where my vision may be off, there's basically two ways he can play this. This can be like, I've got a chip on my shoulder, I've got something to prove, and it's a statement game. Or he can say, look, my heart is where I play. I play in Brooklyn. And in the NBA, you can't get too high any night. You can't get too low. You've got 80-plus games. Preseason, summer league.
I know where you're going.
What do you think? Where's his...
I think he's going to say that it's just another one of the games, and yet I don't think whenever anybody says that it's not. It's a little bit different. There's no doubt about it. He'll want to play well. He'll hear a little bit extra from the crowd, either positive or negative. It's just human nature. It'll be a little bit different for him, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think what will matter will be the score of the game.
Yeah.
I don't think you notice that a lot with NBA players. It's not a. I mean, stats are a big deal. But your stat that matters in organizations right now, like the Nets and the Lakers, are you getting better?
Yeah.
Is your team getting better?
Right.
And the idea that you get 25, that is so insignificant. And it really doesn't matter at all if you're not leading your team or improving your team each night or every 10 games or so. You feel like you're getting better and the organization's getting better because the Nets felt like that in 1 year last year, like they turned it around a little bit, much like the Lakers feel right now.
Right.
So you want to just be part of that moving forward right now.
Yeah, we're talking about patience a lot on this show just because you've got to give these guys time to get their voice, to get that game speed down. I remember Brian Urlacher when he first came to Chicago. He's a monster of a player, going to be a Hall of Famer. But when he first got there, he's like, you guys got to give – he said it. It's like, you have to let me get caught up to how fast this game is.
Right.
I'm going to be fine, but everything is – I need time. So I can see guys like Brandon Ingram and Lonzo Ball – they need time to figure this out, you know.
Absolutely.
You can get a double-double every night and be terrible.
Right,
you know?
right.
What are your thoughts on you've seen Jason Kidd towards the end of his career, but you've seen
I
Jason
saw
Kidd.
Jason Kidd a lot, yeah.
Yeah, actually, let me tell you my Jason Kidd story. So when he was at Cal, I'm a Bay Area guy, so I went to go see him at a game. My buddy and I are in the stands. He gets a long rebound, he's right about the free throw line. Turns around, Alfred Grigsby, Lamont Murray running the wings. Winds up and throws the ball as hard as he can all the way down 3/4 court or so to Alfred Grigsby, who's going to be dunking the ball. The only thing is Lamont Murray gets it on the left wing instead of Grigsby. He fooled everybody on the court. He fooled the entire crowd. And I thought, no, I've made this up. And about 20 years later, my buddy Paul was talking to me. He's like, do you remember when we went to that game and Jason Kidd threw that pass and faked out the entire crowd? And I'm like, okay, so it wasn't just me. This really did happen. But Jason Kidd was special. I remember in college, he would do this stutter hesitation thing because the young kids he played against couldn't handle his speed, his power. What do you see in a player like Lonzo Ball? Have you seen enough to get a sense for that greatness that we're all waiting for?
Yeah. I have in regards to passing. Mm-hmm. And you think about guys in the NBA, how many guys in the NBA have a great, that are great passers? There's usually less than 5.
Right.
There's not even, there's like, I don't know, who's great? There's usually a couple big men like Jokic in Denver or somebody.
Yeah.
Can you think of another great passer in the league? Right? I don't know. And Lonzo Ball is really that guy. It's how quickly he can see it and deliver it, and he sees it before everybody else on the floor. And Jason Kidd is very similar. Now, Jason Kidd had other remarkable qualities that there's no way he would lose. If you were a teammate of his and he looked at you and he wanted to win the game, you'd go along with him to win the game. So that's a whole nother. But you're talking about passing. Yeah. Lonzo Ball reminds me a ton of Jason Kidd.
It took Jason a while. He didn't play on great teams. The Mavericks were terrible when he first got to. I think won like 13 games the year they had drafted him, and he wasn't known to be an outside shooter. He could do it a little bit, but Lonzo comes in with the ability of, if you leave him open, once he gets used to the game, he's going to continue to shoot well from 3-point range. When does that leadership come in, though? Like that Jason Kidd stare, that Dan Marino looking. When does that come?
Well, I think it can happen right away. I mean, I think that with some guys, it's just a different style. Mm-hmm. I mean, I haven't watched the Lakers enough, but Lonzo Ball gives me the impression that he's locking into that leadership thing right now. I think it's a bit performance based, guys. But I just think it's a healthy thing for a team. When a really good player, the chief thing he wants to do is make others look good. Is move the basketball. This game is so connected, Pete, that guys, when that ball is moving on offense and it's popping around, I'm telling you, they defend a lot better. They're more organized because you get more organized shots. So you're not surprised and you have floor balance. So you're better getting back because of the extra passes and the ball movement. But there's just something about and it becomes contagious too, because then Lonzo Ball might be a great passer, but I don't know Brandon Ingram's game that well, but he might be a fair passer, but he might want to be a good passer now. Mm-hmm. And Brook Lopez is a really great guy.
Right.
And he'll want him. So you get then that chemistry of a good karma going, and it's a fun thing to watch. And what happens is that energy on one end carries over to the defensive side of the floor. And I've seen it with the Nets now. When they're moving the basketball and popping it around the way Coach Kenny Atkinson wants them, they're better defensively. They're more energized. It's a better, healthier way. And again, I just think that Lonzo Ball is going to create that. I think he's a unique player. I think I really, really like him. I really like D'Angelo Russell. I mean, I think it's a point guard league. Right. I think they're a little different. But I think, I think it's unique, and I think if you're going to build, used to be when I was growing up, you built a team. If you could get Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in your team,
right?
Well, then you played inside out, and it's become all right. Well, you got every point. It's a kind of a point guard league. The rules kind of changed.
Yeah.
The talent of players changed, and you got to go for a good one. I think the Nets think they have a good one in D'Angelo Russell, and I think the Lakers got players to build on in the future. But you're right. You made a very good point. Jason Kidd wasn't great right away.
Right.
You got to give him a year or two, and you got to understand their mentality. But you can see it with some guys.
Can some players like Joe Montana fit well into a system, right? And he's a legend. But someone like Dan Marino just was always going to be a great quarterback. Didn't really matter where he went because he just had the skill, the tools to play that thing. Is the same thing true with point guards today?
Oh, I think I think you'd want to make sure that if you had Lonzo Ball, that you were running a lot because he, and you want to get it up the floor, and because he's the earliest passer. I call that early pass.
Okay.
Like the moment you get it, he doesn't wait. If Jason Kidd was great at that too. Jason Kidd wouldn't waste dribbles.
Right.
You say, well, he's a great point guard. He must be able to dribble great. No. It's that they get rid of it before the other people do.
Yeah.
They see it before they catch the ball or have it.
Yes.
It's already in their mind where it's supposed to go, much like that play you described that you saw.
Exactly.
He saw it before. He knew it, not looking at it, but felt it.
Yeah.
And it's maybe a little bit like how Gretzky knew hockey a play before.
Sure.
So the great ones know it that way. So you want to make sure you have the right system. And certain players do certain things well. And pick and roll has become such a big deal now. And so you want to have guys that are creative and shifty and pick and roll, but you also just want guys that can advance the ball quickly and just get the ball moving up and down.
Yeah, that movement, I think you're right. Well, obviously you're right about that. This is what you do for a living. I just run my mouth.
Yeah. No, don't ever assume just because I'm talking, I know what I'm talking about.
Well, but you're right, though. That play with Jason Kidd, I don't recall him dribbling. I recall him pivoting and throwing. And again, throwing a fake that we all completely missed where the ball was going. And
for years, he was the fastest with the basketball.
So fast.
But he never had to... He spent a lot of possessions not showing that because the ball, still the pass was faster than the dribble.
Right.
And just the healthiness of what guys running because they know they're going to get the ball. And again, I've watched the Lakers enough, and I'll watch them enough in the next day, and I'll see them live. That I think you got the makings of a nice foundation. As I feel the same way about the Nets.
For sure, yeah.
I feel like they're talk about knowing. Not an easy situation to take over for Sean Marks and Kenny Atkinson, but talk about they haven't necessarily hit home runs, but hitting doubles, singles and doubles, and doing the right things to try to build a team.
What was the last team that did that at the championship level? Maybe they didn't, because only one team gets the win, but when you have a system that's so strong, I kind of like the Cardinals in baseball, where you're just like, they're always competitive, not regardless of the talent, but the system is so prepared.
Well, I guess San Antonio would be the best example, right? Because, you don't feel like, you feel like regardless, they have interchangeable parts. If guys retire, if somebody's there, they just keep on winning.
Right.
And the coach is great, but the system is in place.
Yeah.
And if he wasn't there, you got to feel that way about the Golden State Warriors right now. If Steve Kerr isn't there, everything's is working out just fine.
Yeah.
That's an abundance of talent, but I also think it's great coaching too. So Luke Walton is a great example.
Yeah,
He's able
Luke
to
Walton's
step in.
Done it. He's been on two teams that have won championships. Though he didn't win it last year. That's right. But he's been on championship caliber teams. He passes that along. Does that bleed down to someone like Mark Madsen, who's a peer and a friend and a coach on the team, or does he have to get that from somewhere else? Do you think?
I don't know. I think a little bit of both. They see a team and organization come, or they see the building of the Lakers. If Mark Madsen saw how the Lakers were growing, he might not have to be there for the entire championship run. He might have to get to a championship, but if he saw last year what was going on, how they developed it, where they got to the middle of the pack, got to the playoffs, in the mix of the playoffs. That's just, you want to see the process to get to a certain level, and I think Mark Madsen's one of those guys that's probably on that type of track and is in a great situation for himself.
the growth of a team like the Lakers, you've got all these young guys. Larry Nance is the oldest guy, not even 25 years old yet, but also the emergence of a statistical model. How do these things blend together with young, coachable but inexperienced guys who maybe start to get more of this analytical base? And are the Nets chasing more of this analytical model that has taken over baseball and a lot of football too?
Well, I think you can't help but be caught up in it, not caught up into it. Everybody has analytics departments now.
Sure.
Yes, we shoot. The Nets shoot a lot of threes. They shoot a lot of threes. They play fast. They want to get threes. They want to get layups. They don't want to be caught in the mid range too much. And yet, I don't think they're like opposed to it either.
Right.
But you see how so many of the teams right now end up with 5 players outside the 3-point line. It's this 5-out style. They may run a play on the inside and post some guys here and there, but a lot of them like that 5-out. And I equate it, Pete, to football. Football became, when I was growing up again, I'm not that old, but I'm 57. You ran the ball a lot, and then maybe you threw it on third down, but then the rules start changing where the wide receivers could do more. So let's throw it more. Well, I think that's exactly what's gone on in basketball. They said, well, you can't beat up guys when they're driving the ball anymore. There's hand checking. So let's drive the ball more, but then let's get rid of the help defenders now too. Let's not even let them be involved.
Right.
So then you get shooters on the floor, and they start this new position called the stretch 4 about 15 years ago. Now that's evolved into a stretch 5, like Brook Lopez, and the floor, and that's why it's happened. You kind of with the analytics, yes. The numbers show that this is what you should do, and you can do it, but not if you don't have the people to do it either, though. That's where I think people get a little bit. You're but players now work out to the analytics, though. Again, when the 3-point shot was just, involved in the NBA, guys shot it, but they didn't work at it. You watch shoot around before practice. These guys are getting up 200 threes. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They get 200 threes up a day. Guys now are strong. Like, they shoot it easy.
Yeah.
It doesn't even look like, it looks like how guys used to shoot 15-footers.
Right.
So it's different. It's coached to that now. You can't avoid it. And you better embrace it. And I know as an analyst, it's hard for me to get too technical on analytics during a broadcast when they're going. But I'm addicted to the NBA.com stats page. I'm starting to learn it. You got to know what you're talking about. And if you're writing or you're doing podcasts or it's very clear. It clarifies a lot of stuff.
There's a lot of value in that.
There's a lot of value. And
just seeing the different, it's not just rebounds, it's out of zone rebounds and what that matters.
And then there's ones I like that because it's complementing things that never were appreciated, like screen assist. You know what I mean? How many times guys say, screening is something everybody should do and do well. You know what I mean? You should be able to go and headhunt a guy, put your body on him, boom, or set a really good screen.
Yeah.
And I think that's good that's getting acknowledged. We go through, there's 100 things. There's 100 things.
Right. Yeah.
But I loose balls, I like all that kind of stuff. And it's amazing how it can be tracked. It's amazing statistically how it's going on and the efficiencies of all these things. If you're following it, you could follow it during the game.
Sure.
In-game analytics. And
it's
wow.
Incredible.
I remember I was just doing I had a shot chart. I thought that was a big deal.
You took 13 shots.
Oh, right there. They made about 5 threes. They took 8 of them. It's funny how it's the technology is there. They have the tracking devices on the floor and the cameras, and it's just amazing.
When you talk about the Nets playing the Lakers, what do you think is the biggest strength that we're going to see tomorrow night from the Nets? What's going to make a difference for them if they're able to exploit that strength?
Playing with great energy and great life. That's what they've been missing the last couple of days. Great energy, great life, and great ball movement. They've got to pop the ball around the floor, and they've got to really, when they're, to beat a good team on the road and play well, they can be a good 3-point shooting team. They can use that line and make them. So they could run it. They could push the ball. Yes, play alive, and then get threes. Move the ball to make extra passes. get open threes and knock them down. They're going to have to make threes. That's what get threes, just because of great passing and then knock them down. That would be how they win the game tomorrow.
What do you not worry about, but what are you like, oh gosh, the Lakers are doing this thing and we're going to have a tough time with these guys tonight?
Well, I think with the Nets, sometimes they're pretty thin up front, so they can get hurt on the backboard. The second chance points have hurt the Nets so far this year, and just flat out defensively, they've struggled at times. So I was really, first 5 games, they were 3-2, and I was, even the games they lost were, first game they didn't play well, but Orlando turns out to be a good team.
Right.
They beat them once, lost to them, should have beat them twice. And so they had good life, good energy, and I think they can get back to that. It's kind of that kind of atmosphere. Our coach is energetic and upbeat.
Yeah.
And just our atmosphere is up and coming, and it's got a good vibe to it. I think it's going to get back to that.
Yeah, I put the Lakers on playoff capability, maybe 2 years, possibly 3. We'd love to see. This year it's just too much to put on the guys. They need time this season. Where do you think the Nets are in that process?
I think the Eastern Conference is like a different conference, right?
Sure,
it's different.
Totally. Yeah.
So if you get your act together and you're playing pretty good, you never know. The Nets actually could be taught. I thought a goal this year would be not necessarily to make the playoffs, but to be like, be in March and say, they're only 3 out. If they get out of a row, they might, that could be 4 other teams in the same boat.
Right.
But it's still nice to be able to talk about that doing there. So I think the Nets are in a little bit different boat because the Eastern Conference is a little bit, is not a little bit. It appears to be a lot easier right now to move up. But that's not I think the point is to get to the point where you can really challenge to be a contender for a championship.
Yeah.
So regardless of your conference, both teams are trying to do the same thing. I think the issue with not the issue, but the Lakers, I think what people don't give enough credit to is that now that the Lakers haven't been great, and, I know it's all about championships here. I understand that. But people do not give good basketball fans enough credit. If basketball fans, Laker fans, see young players playing hard and playing together and see that they're doing the right things, they will like this team and like the evolution of this team probably as much as some of their championship teams that they've had. I'm telling you, it's a fun ride.
Yes.
It's a really fun ride. I know the rides when the Lakers have been awesome has been a quick ride to get there, and then they're right there. But I'm telling you, the climb is fun.
Yeah.
The climb is fun, and fans like it. I think the interest in the Lakers is impressive. Right? It's never not great.
Right.
It's unbelievable here.
Yeah.
Right. I understand that, but I think right now it has reason to be fired up.
Yeah.
And enjoy, and really kind of enjoyable. It's Pat Riley used to call it the innocent climb. You know what I mean? The innocent climb of a team.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what's going to. They did a very good job. Lonzo Ball, right? Kyle Kuzma, Nance Jr.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you're going to love Brook Lopez. You're going to love him.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know what it might be his last year on his I don't know how that's going to play out,
right.
But I'm telling you, that's a great. I don't know that I don't hang out with that many players, but because he was there 10 years or so.
Sure.
I was around him. What a beautiful person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What a great pro to have around your other guys. I'm telling you, he'll light it up for some. He'll have a few 30-point nights this year.
Yeah, well, and you know what? If you get a guy that size having a 30-point night.
No, he can. I'm telling you.
Great.
Talk about, we talked about guys shooting it easy.
Yeah.
He shoots it easy. He's a better defender than people think. He's physical.
Yeah.
And he's a great teammate. It's a great way to build. He's a great guy to build with.
Well, listen, I've taken as much of your time as I dare to take tonight. I really appreciate it. I hope you'll come back whenever you're in town because this is fantastic.
Anytime.
And I wonder if Brad Lohaus is somewhere going, I was born 20 years too early, because he had a stroke, 7-footer. He could do it all day long,
There are some guys that were kind of like, boy, they didn't appreciate what I could do,
right.
There were some, used to call them European big men because that's what they could do.
Yeah.
Turns out that wasn't such a bad move. That wasn't a knock. That was a compliment.
Heck, I think Tony Kukoc would be even better player in this era.
Yeah,
you know?
but even, you think even those, but then the high post passing people we saw with the Sacramento Kings for a lot of years with Divac and Chris Webber, that was great offense. But now they stretch it out even more. It's fun to follow. Pete, you do a wonderful job. You're enjoyable to talk to.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
All right.
And that's all the time we have for today. So we'll be back. We'll discuss the Lakers' road trip, their successes, their failures. We'll also talk about what were the high points of the road trip and how we can build upon those high points moving forward within the month to see if they can finish out the month very strong. Because they're going to definitely need that moving forward. There's no question. Get ready, guys. Buckle up. Get ready for this roller coaster ride we're going to be on throughout the season. We're going to laugh. We're going to cry. We're going to be mad. We're going to be happy. But you know what? At the end of the day, the Lakers are on their way back. Just remember, the Lakers are on their way back. Patience, Grasshopper. Patience. So make sure you subscribe to Lakers Reign Podcast on Twitter at Lakers Reign Pod. Also on Instagram at Lakers Reign Podcast. Make sure you hit me up on Twitter at Nick Hamilton LA. Until next time, make it rain here on Lakers Reign. Take it easy. I'm out.
You've been listening to Lakers Reign. Thanks to the Los Angeles Lakers. Executive producer Pete Turner. Producer John Leon Guerrero. Musical director DJ Severe. And your host, Nick Hamilton. Intro track On the Ball by Bryce Vine. We'll see you next time on Lakers Reign.